Unit 15, Improving Group Dynamics by Mindstool Content Team. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what group dynamics are, what are positive as well as negative kinds of group dynamics, how to fix the problems within a group, and what are the methods that we can actually make use of. Let's imagine a situation where all the bright people in your group are brought together to solve a problem. And you hope that there would be some sort of a solution, but you can easily become frustrated if people can't come to a decision. Now, what are the reasons why this lack of decision is there? Sometimes a person might be very critical of his or her colleagues. During other occasions, you might find that there might be certain people who hardly contributes anything at all to the session, or maybe he just agrees to a very dominant sort of a person. Or maybe you might come across certain situations where there are colleagues who just crack jokes or try to become very humorous, but then it does not solve the problem at all. It actually diverts you away from the whole of this topic. All this can actually create a lot of trouble for reaching a final decision. All these are examples of poor group dynamics, and therefore in this chapter we'll be taking a look at what group dynamics are and why they matter. Group dynamics is the study of how individuals interact, behave, and influence each other within the setting of a group. The person who first coined the term group dynamics was Kurt Lewin, and he was a social psychologist and change management expert. He had coined this term in 1940s, and he observed that people often take on distinct roles and behaviors when they work in a group. So suppose when they are actually working in a group, you'll find that there are different kinds of roles that people actually take up. And group dynamics describes the effect of these roles and behaviors on other group members and on the whole group as a whole. So you will find that the present day group dynamics, ideas on group dynamics, has been built on Kurt Lewin's ideas, and this has become central to good management practice. It is said that it is easy to spot a group which has got positive group dynamics. People in such groups trust one another. They trust the members of the group, each group, and they are also group members who actually take a collective decision. All right, and they are also people who hold one another accountable. All right, so you actually can spot these are the three features of a group with a very positive dynamic. And it is believed that such groups can actually be nearly twice as creative as any average groups that are there. Now just as easy as it to spot a group with a positive dynamic, it is also easy to spot a group with a very negative dynamic too. And there are certain features that poor group dynamics actually exhibit. You'll find that the behavior of the people might disrupt work, they might not come to any decision, or they might make a wrong choice, or because the other group members could not find any alternative options. There are different ways in which the positive or the poor group dynamics is also noticeable. So we are going to look at The reasons behind poor group dynamics. What causes poor group dynamics? So, how is it that group leaders and team members can contribute to the negativity that is there within a group? So, we are going to take a look at some of the common problems. Whenever a team lacks a very strong leader, it is possible that a dominant member of the group can take over the charge. So, one of the reasons for poor group dynamics is that of weak leadership. So, due to this, it can actually result in a lack of direction, it can result in infighting, or you might not even have wrong priorities. So, this is one important reason for poor group dynamics. Another reason might be excessive deference to authority. So, when you say excessively deference, meaning you are very submissive, that you don't have the courage to disagree with a leader. So, that is, every time you seem to agree with a leader and therefore you are not expressing your own opinions. When that takes place, it is considered as excessive deference to authority. So, this sort of excessive deference can also result in poor group dynamics. The third kind of reason is that of blocking. And blocking means that team members behave in such a way that the information that is flowing within the group is actually blocked. And there are different ways through which blocking can take place. The first one is the aggressor. This person in the group often disagrees with others or is sometimes very inappropriately outspoken. The second kind of blocker is the negator. That is, this member is often critical of other people's ideas. So, this also can result in blocking. The next next kind of blocker is the withdrawer. That is, there might be a lot of people who might be taking part in the group dynamics, but one person alone withdraws and doesn't participate in the discussion. So, this is also one kind of blocking. Another kind of blocking might take place if you have a recognition seeker within the group. Alright, so this group member might sometimes be very boastful, sometimes dominates the session and always requires the attention. And if there might be other group members who might feel a little sidelined even though they are contributing to the group. So, the recognition seeker is also a cause for blocking in group dynamics. And the last blocker is the joker. Alright, in every group there is a joker or a person who introduces humor at inappropriate times. Definitely a person with a sense of humor is an advantage to a group. But whenever these jokes are cracked at inappropriate times, it is when you have to take a decision, and it is at the time that this joke actually comes in, where it might actually result in blocking, and consequently that would contribute to poor group dynamics. A fourth cause for poor group dynamics is that of group think. Now, what is group think? This is a phenomenon when people tend to conform with group discussions to avoid feeling outcast, and it often leads to errors in decision making. Alright, so what does this happen? That is, an individual might actually feel within the group, an individual might actually think that another kind of an alternative solution is possible. But because most of the majority in the group think that it is better to go along with the group's decisions, all right, what you might actually do is that you might actually settle down with a less viable alternative. All right, so this picture is something that actually tells us as to what groupthink does. And the disadvantage of this group think is that that is, the possibility of fully exploring alternative solutions is lost. So this is also another factor for poor group dynamics. A fifth factor resulting in poor group dynamics is that of free riding. Often in a group, some members take it very easy and leave all the work to their colleagues. And they may work hard. Already these free traders they may work hard, but then if it might be only for their personal benefits. Whenever it comes to contributing within a group situation, they might just withdraw. And this is called as social loafing. So this is also another reason for poor group dynamics. The last factor that contributes to poor group dynamics is that of evaluation apprehension. That is, team members might actually think that when you are actually judged, you are actually evaluated in a very harsh manner by the members of other groups, what we might do is that we might hold back our opinions. And because we are apprehensive, because we are scared that other people might judge us in a wrong way, what we need to this contributes to poor group dynamics. So these were the factors that causes poor group dynamics. Now we are going to take a look at the strategies for improving team dynamics. How can one improve the group dynamics within the workplace? The first strategy is knowing your team. So if you are the leader, you need to guide the development of the group. So you must learn to know about the phases through which your group actually develops. And it is usually believed that there are at least 5 stages of group development within a team. So if you understand that, then you will be able to solve many of the problems that might actually arise. You can also use or identify and find out what are the negative as well as the positive team roles. Now this is actually an idea or group roles idea which has been given by Ben and Sheets. So you can make use of these positive roles as well as negative roles within the group to understand, or to set who each team member is. Okay, are they positive or are they negative? All right, you can actually analyze them. And if there are problems, that is, if you notice as a leader that one member has adopted a behavior that is not helping the group, immediately learn to tackle that problem. You must learn to provide feedback to show how the actions of that person is affecting the others. The third strategy for improving team dynamics is to define roles and responsibilities. All right, so each team member should understand what their role is. And for that, create what is called as a team charter. That is, you must learn to define the mission of the group, the objectives, the responsibilities and roles, all these things. All right, so budgets, resources, performance, assessment, okay, rules and conflict resolution, all these things should be assessed, or this team charter should be created. Breaking down barriers also help in improving the group dynamics. You can have team building activities, explain about the Johari window system, that is how much should you actually tell to the members of your group and how much should be kept in blind spot, and how much safe kind of information about yourself can be said. So teach them to make use of that in the group. The next way is where you communicate very easily to others. And for that, make use of the Crawford slip method. The next thing is look for warning signals, unanimous decisions.